I went off the deep end in college. Alcohol, men, I was just living like there was no tomorrow, no repercussions, and still maintaining in my heart that I was a Christian, but never really living that. When I was 13, my parents got divorced, and around that same time, my grandmother died, and I guess there was just like a sense of vulnerability around me, and I started getting bullied really bad at school. And it was like the movies, like it was the thrown in the locker, people spitting on me, just torment, just torture. My mom and I didn't get along at this time, and my dad was a great dad, but I just never saw him much because I lived with my mom, and she, at the time, I felt like was choosing her boyfriend over her kids. And so I always had this perception that a man was more important than anything, because it seemed in my head at 14 years old like she went straight from my dad to another guy, and that was what I needed to do too. So I was constantly chasing attention and affection from other people, and I began to kind of experiment with drugs and putting myself in compromising positions. I went to college, I just turned 18, and still looking for that attention from men and validation just from people in general. I had met this new girlfriend, and she was dating a guy who was in a fraternity who was older, and we went to a bar, and his fraternity brother drugged me and brought me back to the frat house and raped me, and he took my virginity. And after all those years of all the bad things I had done, I had saved that one thing, because still in my heart of hearts, I still love the Lord, and I still wanted that one thing for my wedding day. And I felt like something was stolen, and I was mad at God. My senior year in college, I went to a church, and I had a radical encounter with Christ, and that was like the movies. It was like the fall on your face and the crying, and I finally felt like I saw what I had been missing all along, which was the relationship, and I had never made that connection before. My heart changed instantaneously, obviously. My lifestyle took a minute to catch up, and I was really fortunate that the church stood with me when I didn't necessarily look like a Christian's supposed to look, and I didn't wear things that Christians are supposed to wear, and I was still smoking, and I was still cursing, and I was doing all these things that aren't necessarily glorifying God, but they stayed with me and they walked me along, and I quit smoking on a mission trip. It was so ridiculous, but then I go get baptized, and all my friends are like, oh, this will be over in a week, you'll go back to who you were before. But some reason that baptism, like the actual coming out, like to me was a literal, like shedding of my skin, like becoming who I was always kind of meant to be. I met Chris that year, my husband. We fell in love, and we quickly got engaged. And then just a few months later got married. The man who took my virginity's name was Chris, and the man who I married's name was Chris. And the man who has restored all my faith in humanity, God gave to me with the very same name of the one who tried to take it from me in the first place. And so it's just really cool to see all the different pieces that have come together. There's the Bible verse, and go into all the world and share the good news. And basically, if you cut that down, that's go everywhere, tell everyone. And that's what I want to do. And that's why I'm so much of a champion for the little people. 1 in 4 women are getting raped on college campuses, and it's an epidemic, and it's a problem. And if people are scared to talk about it, it's just going to keep happening. And any part of life, the more we talk about it, the more we grab hold of who Jesus is through all of it, and how faithful he is, even when he seems like he's 100 miles away, he was always right there. Nothing that's been done to you, nothing that you have done, no matter how bad or dirty it seems, can ever separate you. And there is such value in that relationship with him that finally the hole that I had been trying to fill for all those years was filled.